Another major decision that has a big impact on the energy efficiency of your home is the windows that you choose. And we've already went through heating and air conditioning, insulation work, and believe it or not, windows ranks number 3 in the significance or importance as you're getting ready to put that together. So as usual, I've invited some experts here to kind of help us make a decision as we get ready to build the house. I have with me again David Brookshire, a general contractor, and also have with us Travis Baker, which is a sales manager from Consolidated Builder Supply. And guys, what I'd like to do is just kind of talk a little bit about windows and some stuff like that and help us make a decision on which way we want to go on our new home.
Okay.
Well, let's start as we normally do, looking at the Touchstone Energy spec. Now, from reading this, it says that a Touchstone Energy Gold home will have to have a U factor of 0.5 or below, and it has to have a solar heat gain coefficient of 0.30 and below. Okay, let's start like that means anything to me. Okay, it does to you guys, but I think that's the reason of this video. Let's talk about what these acronyms really mean in a real basic concept to help people understand that. So let's start with like a U value. What is it, and help me understand it.
U factor is the equivalent of an R value. Okay, everybody's heard of an R value. It's the insulation in your walls and your attic, so forth. Windows have the same ratings. Okay, the lower the number on the U value, the more efficient that product is.
Okay.
Your products that we used in your home have a 0.29 U value, which is equivalent to about a 3.5 R value.
Okay. So it's just a kind of a measurement of the efficiency, and the lower number is better.
Correct.
Okay. What's this solar heat gain factor?
Solar heat gain is a measurement of how much radiant heat travels through your glass, both from an exterior point of view and an interior point of view. So that can be radiated heat produced by the sun, and it also can be radiated heat produced by your furnace. So that rating measures how much of that radiant heat is allowed to travel through your glass.
So it's two-way then. Basically, it's depending on if I've already heated my home, it's kind of keeping that heat from going out that window.
Correct.
Kind of like a radiant barrier then.
Correct.
Almost.
Correct.
Interesting.
And again, the lower the number, the more efficient.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. What's this term transmittance?
Visible light transmittance. That's basically the amount of visible light that is allowed to travel through that glass. So that's going to affect how much daylight is allowed to pass in. You know, it's going to create darker or lighter versions into that house. So the lower the number, the more light it's blocking out.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense then. All right. And air leakage we've talked about quite a bit, or something around these windows and stuff. I think we have a pretty good feel, but what do I need to be concerned about when I'm looking at a window? I'm assuming that's factored into the U factor, right?
It is. It's the U factor is measured on the main frame, the glass, the amount of air leakage, and so on. The government sets a standard for the window industry at a 0.20 CFMs allowed to leak through that window frame. Our products and the products we used in your house measure a 0.07. So we're well below the government standards, and that's something that's really important for people to look at. So again, the lower the number, the better you are in efficiency.
Okay. Now, David, if I remember correctly, whenever we were looking at the insulation in the last segment, there were some unique things you did around the windows with the foam insulation that tightened this up as well, correct?
Well, that's part of our super seal package that we call, where I showed you that we caulked all the 2x4s and everything on the outside walls. We also do our doors, and number one is our windows. We have this expandable foam, and it's plastic. It doesn't get hard, and we put that in there around the top, sides, and bottom, and everything. And this helps control the air leakage, which Travis can tell you is tremendously good. And number one thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you use a hard caulk, a caulk that gets hard, it voids the warranty of the window.
It will.
And so we have to be careful what we seal them with, and also the efficiency of what this stuff does for us. So that's the best thing to do with it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you wouldn't think about the caulk having an impact on the warranty of the window or something on that line. So.
Well, your house always moves. I mean, we cannot build a perfect house where it won't move. The earth moves.
Wait a second. I was told I got a perfect house from Brookshire. Deal's off. No, I'm just...
But, I mean, it will move, so you gotta have the flexibility of the foam, or caulking, if you will,
Yeah.
to where when the house does move, then it doesn't crush our window. That's why we have a gap around the windows so that they can never be shut down.
Okay.
So that's very important in building a
Yeah,
home.
very much so. Okay. Travis, real quick again, the U value then on the windows that you're recommending for my home are what again?
A 0.29.
A 0.29, so that's well below the 0.5 and below that we were looking for.
Correct.
And the solar heat gain,
0.23.
0.23, again, well below the 0.30 that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other considerations or anything that on the windows that you've recommended that are unique?
Yeah, we actually used a low E3 glass with an argon gas fill. Basically, insulated glass is two pieces of glass and with an insulation barrier. That insulation barrier can be made up of several different items. One being just a plain dead air. The other would be an argon gas filled into that cavity. Argon acts as a sound deadener and also an insulator. So it's going to help improve your performance of your window, bringing those U values down and affecting your solar heat gain as well.
Okay, so all of those factors are what makes these U factors come down then.
That's where you get your low numbers.
There's another thing in there also on the windows too, is you cannot use aluminum frame windows and get the argon gas. And aluminum frame, why I use vinyl in my efficient homes that I build is because vinyl does not let heat or cold
Doesn't
come through.
transmit.
It doesn't
Yeah.
transmit, where the aluminum will.
That's a great point, Dave.
So that's another point that we use.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we've kind of got it. We're under our specs, but are other things that we look at, does the orientation of the house have any impact on the efficiency based off, and why?
Well, if your house is facing east and west and your sides are north and south, obviously you're gonna get the morning heat coming in, and especially the west end, it's gonna come in and it'll burn that house up
Okay.
in the summertime, especially in the midsummer when we got our 100-degree or plus weather. So you kind of want to caulk your house around a little bit, and the more windows you got, which most of the time, most of the windows are in front of the home, okay, and not in the back. In the back of the house, you're gonna have some living room windows and some kitchen windows in your dining area, which that's usually, most of them are underneath your back porch. And so you got a couple of bedrooms that's gonna have some light come through and the heat. So again, the way you set your home is gonna help you out a whole lot.
Okay, that kind of makes sense to the way that you kind of cocked our house.
Yes.
A little bit in the way that it came in, because Yvonne and I, when you laid that out and showed us, that starts to make sense. I guess if you were in a situation that you couldn't really adjust it, could you use landscaping or something like that to try to hide some of that for you?
Landscaping helps out a lot, especially if you get some nice Bradford pears.
Back repairs.
You know, and there's several different species of these trees that live longer, have more of a life expectancy on them, and they grow fairly fast, and they will give you more shade. And if you set them in the way to where in the evening sun coming in on the western side of your house, it will tremendously help
Yeah.
cut the heat down from protruding through the windows.
So my first thought would be to try to orient it if I could, and if I
Exactly.
couldn't, then I use landscaping to kind of mask or minimize the damage.
Exactly right. yes.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Understanding the balance that we've talked about all the way through this of trying to achieve energy efficiency and yet still having affordability, why have you picked the windows that you've picked for this home that David is installing?
Well, necessarily it wasn't our decision. This is something that David puts in all of his homes.
Oh, okay.
The products are vinyl framed, which are very energy efficient. We use a low E3 glass, which has 3 coats of the silver ingot oxide, and an argon gas fill. So it's just something that David believes in, and we believe in as well. But it gives you the best performance, but keeps you in budget.
It's kind of the biggest bang for the buck.
Biggest
then,
bang for your buck.
without going to the Cadillac level. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. All right, we're looking at, from what I'm understanding and looking at the window choices, and Dave, this is what he puts in his home.
Yep.
But if I were to look at just like a clear glass, just a regular insulated double pane window or something like that, the difference between it and my window, what am I talking about in difference of cost?
Difference in cost right at about 15%.
Okay. Is there anything in between that?
There is. There's an entry level low E, which just has a dual coated low E glass with a dead air space. And at that price point, you're going to spend 7% above that clear insulated unit.
Okay. So I'm looking at kind of the basic, then kind of in the middle, and then a little bit further up the scale to what we're putting in.
Correct.
And I'm looking at 7% to make it to the middle and 15 to go to the top.
Correct.
All right. Well, what do I say for that though? So what is the savings potential or the energy efficiency difference between that low end window and that mid range?
Right at about 30%.
30%. So it's about 30% more efficient. What about the window that Dave puts in his home and that you've recommended for mine?
You're going to increase from clear glass 65% efficiency.
65% more efficient. So I can spend 15% more and get a 65% energy efficiency gain out of these windows.
Correct.
Dave, how many windows I got? I got a lot of windows in my
You
house.
got a lot of windows in your
Miss
house.
Yvonne likes light.
Yep.
Well, again, going back and knowing what I know about energy cost and what we're starting to see with the Clean Power Plan and some of the other costs, I mean, we could see increases in energy cost of anywhere from 15 to 30% over the life of these windows, and especially with me retiring in this home. Guys, this looks pretty simple to me based off of the percentages and the things that we're looking at. I think I'm going to take the recommendation of the windows that you have and go in that direction and try to save myself 65%.
The thing is, it's like a lot of homes I build is for people in our age group here. They're looking at saving money. They've already been down the road with the clear glass, which is a magnifying glass. Okay, that's going to put so much heat in your home, even in the wintertime, which in the wintertime is not bad, but the summertime is when it's really going to eat your electrical bills up. So this one that I put in, and I go to a lot of green build classes and everything else and seminars and educate myself so I know what I'm looking at. I talk to Travis, I talk to my insulation people, and that's how I come up with how I can build a good home. Again, the Gann house that I built, they lived in their house and it's almost 2,400 square feet, $56 electric bill.
So you're trying to balance the same thing I am, affordability,
Exactly.
but at the same time making sure that the energy, well,
Yes.
you know, again, looking at this as my retirement home, potentially at some point being on a fixed income,
Yes.
I'm trying to balance that. Well, guys, looking at all the facts that we've seen and understanding that we're building our retirement home. We told you that when we started, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that I'll be on a fixed income through that time frame, I definitely want to make sure I get the most efficient window that I can afford. Maybe not the most efficient one on the market, but the one that we believe will do us the best job through our retirement years. And so we're going to go in this direction.
With the energy savings that you'll save on this, you don't have to worry about a fixed income as bad as you did in a different home.
Yeah, and you know what I'm starting to see, it's almost a combination of the heating and air conditioning. It's all of these pieces that we're putting in place. It's almost like a system that we've put together to achieve the energy efficiency.
Exactly
It's not
right.
one over the other and the different things that go with it. Well, guys, I think that's it. I think we've made our decision. I appreciate your help today. And be sure and join us next time. Next time, we're going to be looking at lighting and appliances.